Hello again, football fans, and welcome to a Merry Christmas edition, a special edition of Miners Live. Santa Dunn here with a real quick, real brief video on the 2022 season schedule for the Sacramento Miners. I'm going to give you the schedule, talk about a couple keynotes, things that I noticed that are going to be worth mentioning as we get into the RFL season. But before I even get into that, special shout out to the Ohio State Buckeyes. They are your College Series 3 national champions. The Ohio State Buckeyes absolutely dominating the USC Trojans in the national championship game today. So for those of you that are just now finishing up that game and tuning in, I appreciate you checking out the Sacramento Miners schedule release. A little bit different this year. Obviously, with the 18-week schedule, there are the same number of RFL games. The extra game is actually an auto win game. It's a game against an NFL team. So that's an auto win game. But without any further ado, here is the 2022 Sacramento Miners season schedule. Week 1 at the Orlando Sentinels. First 2 games of the year are on the road. You'll notice that we play week 1, then we have week 2 off, then we play week 3, then we have week 4 off. So if you look at it, the first 5 games of the season aren't played until week 9. And if you look at week 11, basically we alternate. We play 1 week, we have a week off. We play 1 week, we have a week off, all the way up until week 11, which is crazy to think about. The good thing is it gives us a good opportunity to put wins in the left-hand column because a lot of those games are going to be automatic wins because they're against NFL teams. The bad thing is that we've got so many games in a row towards the end of the season, just a lot more chance for injury. Really, that's the number one thing that I'm looking at. When I look at 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, right? When I look at that stretch of 7 games in a row, that to me is where fatigue might be an issue, injuries might be an issue. Early on in the season, we're going to be looking pretty good. Record-wise, when we get to week 11, there's a chance that, you might be looking at a 9-2 or an 8-3 Sacramento Miners team, simply because we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, it looks like 5 automatic wins already in the books by the time we get to week 12. So we should have, I would anticipate going at least 500 in those other games. And so you're looking at, basically a 10 wins by the time we get to week 12 or week 13. But then tough stretch the rest of the way. So week 11, the Red Dragons, week 12, the Dreadnoughts, week 13, the Celtic Tigers, and week 14, the Black Knights. That stretch right there, those 4 games to me are the most important, most pivotal part of the season. Going into that week 11 matchup, we're guaranteed. I don't know if our bye is in there, because I know there's a week 18 we have off, so that's a good NFL game there in week 18. So I would assume that our bye week is probably week 10. Either week 8 or week 10 is probably the bye. So week 2, week 4, and week 6, and let's say week 8 are going to be 4 automatic wins. And then the Sentinels, the Armadillos twice, the Bulldogs, and the Bulls. We've got 4 automatic wins. And let's assume in those other 5 games from week 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9, in those 5 games right there, if we're able to go 3-2, like even 3-2, I don't see any reason why we couldn't go 3-2 in those games. Quite honestly, I think we could go 5-0 in those games. None of those teams made the playoffs last year. When you look at the Bulls, the Bulldogs, the Armadillos, and the Sentinels, we have 5 games against those opponents. None of them made the playoffs. Plus, we have 4 automatic wins thrown in there. So by the time we get to week 11, there's a legitimate chance that we're talking about an undefeated Miners team, right? 4 automatic wins, and then those 5 games right there are all winnable games. So it could very easily be 9-0. Worst case scenario is I think we're 7-2 going into that week 11 game. But then those 4 games in a row, the Red Dragons, the Dreadnoughts, the Celtic Tigers, and the Black Knights, those are big time games. The Red Dragons won the Real Bowl 2 years ago. The Dreadnoughts are always going to be a tough game. Every time we play the Dreadnoughts and Coach Frankie, it's tough. Last year we split. The Celtic Tigers just won the Real Bowl this year. So on our schedule this season, we have the last 2 Real Bowl champions. The Red Dragons who won it 2 years ago, the Celtic Tigers who won it last year. Then in week 14, we've got the Black Knights, which is the team that knocked us out of the playoffs last year. So that stretch right there, week 11 to week 14, is going to be what determines where this team is. And quite honestly, if we can come through that 4-game stretch at 2-2, I would be happy. I'd love to go through that at 3-1, or certainly to win all those games would be fantastic. But I think as long as we're able to go 2-2, if we're able to stay 500 in those 4 games right there, from week 11 to week 14, that will pretty much, in my opinion, put us into the playoffs. We're going to already have 4 automatic wins. And then if you look at the tail end of the season, the Bison's in week 15, the Bison's in week 17, and then another automatic win in week 18. So that is a look at the schedule right there. If you have questions on anything, feel free to hit me up. I'm going to try to have Miners Live for you all on Tuesday, but wanted to get the schedule out there. I know a lot of people have been asking, wondering. We had the official RFL schedule that was out on the podcast on Wednesday. And then you've seen some other teams have launched and have unveiled their schedule so far. So I wanted to make sure before the weekend was over. And I figured, you know what? We got the national championship game going on. Shout out. I see Keegan Meyer in the chat. Shout out and congratulations on the national championship. I figured, what the heck? The national championship game, why not go live right after and release and unveil the 2022 schedule for the Sacramento Miners? So again, special thanks to everyone. The college series is over. RFL season is just around the corner. Super excited. I hope you guys are excited. And I guess we'll see you on the field in week 1 as the Sacramento Miners travel to Orlando to take on the Orlando Sentinels. Be sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, guys. Again, remember, 100 subscribers, someone's getting free gear. Follow at Twitter at MinersRFL, at MinersRFL on Instagram as well. As always, Santa Dunn here. I do appreciate everyone's efforts throughout the last couple months. Obviously, the college series is now over, and it's going to be interesting to see what the RFL season will bring, as we're only about a couple weeks away. So again, special thanks to all of you, and we'll see you in week 1. Merry Christmas, and take care, everybody.